Welcome to the Relocated South African, the show for navigating immigration from South Africa for a better future. I'm your host, Jan Hugo from Lagos, Portugal. Today I welcome Bradley and Abigail Du Toit. They live in Voorburg, it sounds Afrikaans, in the Netherlands with their family. Welcome, Bradley and Abigail.
Thank you, Jan.
Okay, so this Voorburg, it sounds like Vryburg, but it's Voorburg. Where exactly is it? Can you maybe explain to the listeners? I know Amsterdam, and that's about it.
So I could say if you look at Amsterdam, a bit northwest of Amsterdam, it is about just south of The Hague. So that's where all the court cases are happening and let's call it the world good things. So that's where we are currently.
Okay. What was the driving force? How did you get to the Netherlands?
Yeah, so previously I worked for a diamond mining company in Cape Town, basically on ships. I worked there for 15 years. I married my wife in 2013 and we lived in Somerset West. A beautiful town in Somerset West, but we thought of a change and we opted to come to Europe. Opportunity presented itself to work for Siemens, basically a data building place specialist here. And myself being an electrical engineer, I thought that would be a good thing for our children. Lots of good stuff that we heard about Netherlands, in schooling, safety, medical, lifestyle. And and that's why we decided we will give it a go. We did not sell up anything in South Africa. So we still have our house there. We Airbnb in the house there at the moment. And we then made the move here through a relocation company. And they've basically given me an opportunity for 1 year to try to settle. And I've been fortunate to get a permanent contract now with Siemens.
Okay, fantastic. It sounds very interesting. I mean, just for the listeners, Brad and I knew each other as cycling buddies in Somerset West. So we used to cycle together in the same club. So I always knew he was involved in something engineering-wise. So if we just step back, did you say you actually worked on ships?
That's right. I worked on ships. So basically what I did was I did designing and basically execution, integration, procurement of the electrical systems. And for the beers, I've built 2 vessels for them, diamond mining vessels, and modified about 7 of the vessels. So that was my specialty there.
Wow, that is really, really interesting. You mentioned the relocation company. I think that's something that I'm finding in a lot of these discussions. You get different age group people who move. So retired people like ourselves, we kind of have to do it on our own and work things out ourselves. People who have work have these relocation companies, because I think people underestimate the amount of red tape involved in making a move like this.
Most definitely. I think it took us a good about 6 months to get all our paperwork done. The relocation company that we worked with, I think they were okay if I compare them to other relocation companies, but it was still a big struggle to get documentation in place. We had to fly to Johannesburg to get, what do we call it, apostilled.
Oh, those apostilles, oh my word, at Durko.
Yeah. Yes. And there's things that they don't tell you, that you can actually have it done by flying to Pretoria. You don't have to send things in. You can basically walk in there early in the morning on certain days in the week and get these things done. And so we opted to do that.
So you actually flew back to South Africa to go and do that?
Well, we didn't leave before that was done.
Oh, I understand. Okay, yeah.
And we had to have birth certificates done. My wife had a struggle because, our government systems are not really 100% in place. So getting all the, what do we call that?
Unabridged
birth certificates
and marriage certificates. Yeah.
Difficult, very difficult.
I know. I mean, we got it done in COVID in August. We got married in August 2020, and we We got a passport and all that done in that same time. It was nightmarish. So you have a lot of sympathy. I must just tell you one anecdote about when we got to Holland, because we arrived and thought, oh well, okay, we'll buy a car and we'll get a place to live and open a bank account. And oh my word! Then they said, "Nee, meneer, it doesn't work like that." So we had to go to the gemeente. And I said, but I don't want to go to church. No, the gemeente is the municipality or whatever. Yeah. So we also learned, but we left quick shortly after that. So we didn't settle because we were worried about the weather, and it was kind of October and it was starting getting gloomy and wet. So yeah, it's a big thing. But I mean, one of the things that I always think about in a move like in your case, I mean, you're still relatively young, but you've kind of changed career now for another job. So it's new networks, everything is new. Do you find that difficult as well?
Yeah, it is a bit daunting, I must admit. You really have to start from base. So in the beers, I had a reputation. I was trusted. They didn't really want to let me go. I forced it. And coming here, no one knows you. So you walk in, you have to reprove yourself. And you say I'm still young. I'm 47 years old. It is a bit of a daunting task. Although here the retirement age is 67. So it was a bit of a daunting task, but it was mainly for the children. We made this move because the children, we were concerned in South Africa, they wouldn't have the opportunities in South Africa down the line. We saw where this was going to. We saw how the government was reacting, how they were moving towards something more, I wouldn't want to say Zimbabwe, but it was not going in the right direction. And I think it's still spiraling downward. And I do think that people that don't see that are either closing their eyes to reality and hoping for the best, but I don't see South Africa lifting themselves up soon.
I think the one thing that is also true is it's a difficult thing to move. If you don't have a good job financially, it's not cheap if you have to fund it yourself, from in rands and so on. So, but I agree with you. Things are not looking up. And how old are your kids, if I may ask?
They're 11, 12, and 18.
Okay. And how are they adjusting?
Well, the 18-year-old, we struggled to get a school for her. She had to opt back to go to online schooling. And she's writing exams in September in South Africa, a senior certificate. So she will fly back with my wife to write exams. And the other two were struggling to get into schools. It was the most difficult thing because in the Netherlands, you need to go into what they call an ESK, inskakeling klas, where they first teach you Dutch, and then they bring you into the school system. So you lose a year to 2 years to try to get into a school.
Yeah. So basically, they will only get maths and the language, the Dutch language. So if you think about it, your children will be 2 years behind with any other subjects.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah.
That is something that people should consider before they come. If they come here with kids that are quite young, I think 5, 6, or younger, it's easier to adapt because then the children go into a school, they learn the language faster. But our kids were not that fortunate.
And how are they coping with the language? I mean, again, we always think Afrikaans is so similar, but it's not.
It's not. And especially our kids that didn't learn Afrikaans. They were brought up English. Myself and my wife speaks Afrikaans to each other, but not to them. So it was a little bit of a difficult task. But because they also don't have this Afrikaans background, it's easier because they don't know the words in Afrikaans, how to formulate the sentences, but they understand it. So they could easily pick up the Dutch. So I think they do have an advantage. Yeah.
And you've been there a year now, or is it longer?
Well, I'm here now almost a year. This will be 11 months, Abigail 10. So that's where we are currently.
Okay. And are they coping?
They are, but they are grumbles. So they would love to go back. We went back for 2 weeks, and they could see the difference between what South Africa is and what family means to them and what it is here. So on the one hand, you have safety. For instance, my children's school are 5 kilometers away. They go by bike to school, either 5 kilometers. And imagine in South Africa, 11-year-old or 12-year-old go by bike. If it's winter, they go to the train station. They park their bikes, get on a train, use a train, a tram, get to school, and come back with the train and a tram and on their bikes back home. So that's incredible. And that's something I think is a huge learning for your children to become independent. It's something in South Africa that we try to protect our kids the whole time. But when you see how they flourish and grow in this environment, it is something probably worth it to see and experience.
Fantastic. And Abigail, do you have work? Are you able to work? Do you have a visa to let you work?
At this moment, I'm not working. I'm at home, and I don't have a visa, but I can work under Bradley's spouse's visa or residence visa or something.
And are you finding it difficult?
Sometimes, but in general, no. I do understand the language a bit. Speaking back is a bit difficult, but otherwise, I miss South Africa. Reason being is for the family. That's the only thing that I really miss a lot.
Again, that comes through in every conversation, that I'm having on this podcast. And it's very difficult because South Africa is so far. It's not a matter of when something goes wrong, even if your parents live in Joburg and you're in Cape Town, it's a 2-hour flight away. This is a mission to get back to South Africa, and it's costly. And we have a lot of expats around us, and the UK people and the Swedes and the French, they all go back for a weekend to go and see their grandchildren. Or something goes wrong, the grandmother's here and she can go there. So I think that's a common thread that comes through, is everybody's battling without that support. When you're really down and you want to speak to somebody and the family is just not there, siblings and parents.
And I think in the beginning as well, when we got here, it was a bit of a struggle because we didn't have a car. We had to do everything with a bicycle or a train. And it's sometimes frustrating for us as South Africans that are used to just getting in your car and go somewhere. Especially summer months, it's fine, but we struggled winter time. So when it came October month, we start feeling that uncomfortable lifestyle here that you need to adapt. And that is quite difficult to adapt, especially for the kids, because I spoke to my son and he said that is what he missed, just getting into his car and just go where he needs to go. But now we need to walk or cycle, and it took time. And eventually they don't want to go out because they sit at home.
Yeah. And are they making friends?
My 18-year-old, she's homeschooled because we couldn't get her into a school this side because of her age. So she doesn't have friends here. Mia and Max, they do have friends. Mia have got school friends, but Max struggles a bit to adapt with making friends at school. So it's difficult for him.
And from your perspective as parents, do you meet other South Africans? There must be quite a large South African community. Are you able to at least mix with other South Africans?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So it's mostly work colleagues. We got involved with the church, so it's at the church. Yeah, so we do have a strong South African community here. And basically one thing that comes up when they find out you're from the Western Cape, they all ask you, what are you doing here? And I must say, they might mean it as a joke, but it hits the heart when you say that. It's we all realize that what we had and what we left behind was beautiful, is beautiful when we go back, and then we miss it, especially family.
Look, that's something that, you said you have a very clear picture in your mind that you're doing this for your children. And I think once you stick to that goal, then you can kind of justify why you're doing X, Y, and Z, and you understand why you're doing that. One of the comments that I also heard was somebody said, my kids, they live in Australia. She said, my kids really can't see their grandparents often, maybe once a year if they're lucky. She said, but we're making the sacrifice so that one day we will see our grandkids in the same country. We will live where they live, and there's, because of what's happening in South Africa, some people have to make a sacrifice and break that chain, and it's unfortunate, and it's very tough. So I have a great deal of empathy with what you guys are going through. All my children live overseas other than one, so it's kind of easier for us. We put ourselves here to be closer to them, and so on. Let me ask you about the food in Holland.
Brood en kaas.
Do you like the food, like stroopwafels and bitpoffertjies and bitterballen and haring and
Yeah, I think the sweet stuff, it's very nice. The luxury, it's very nice and cheap, actually.
Yeah.
In comparison to South Africa, you'll get a decent piece of cake, a nice piece of cake for
€2.50.
yeah. But the food, a bit bland. But yeah, we just put some spices on, then it's fine.
Well, luckily for us, I've got my golden goose with me. So if we can find the right spices, which is all over, we can really put a nice pot of curry, and braais are popular here as well. So we get that done. And people believe that meat is quite expensive, but if you know where to shop, it's not that bad.
And like in every country, you find a South African shop somewhere where you can buy. We've got a shop where we buy boerewors and biltong and so on. So it's quite nice to be able to get some of the home stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
And we have a Dutch friend. He used to run a sandwich shop. And what is that sandwich called? The Eetschmeter. You don't know that? I don't know what it's about. Anyway, yeah, it's an interesting place. I think the environment is just so different. But, and you guys have now been back to South Africa. What's your sense? Would you like to turn back and go back? Would you want to do that?
I think at the moment, from a financial perspective, I would like best of both worlds. Basically, working for a Dutch company and living in South Africa, that would be optimum. I must say, going back there and feeling the sense of family, moving with a car, you can't ride with a bicycle everywhere there and do your shopping. I think our hills in Cape Town is a bit hectic to climb, especially up Abigail Street, if you remember where that is. But it is something that maybe a little bit later we will most likely do. At the moment, where we are now is that Abigail will be going back in September, end of September, and that's an object for looking at it permanently. And then me working from here and going home as often as I can, because December was just terrible, absolutely terrible. I think we went through a Christmas period where Abigail got sick. She got sick, I think it was homesickness, because we could find nothing else. And we went down now, and I think she's made up her mind that that's the way she's going to do that. And I'll find my way back some other way again. Yeah.
Did you leave a job behind in South Africa? Will you be able to go back to that?
No. No, I didn't have a job that side. My job was looking after the kids. Yeah. But we will still go on with the Airbnb, hopefully. So I will run that as well if we keep the Airbnb.
Okay. It's interesting. I spoke to a couple the other day. After 9 years in Ireland, they went back to South Africa. They didn't have kids in South Africa. Their kids were born in Ireland. They all got Irish passports. And he's now still working for the Irish company, but living in Welgemoot. So it is possible to, I guess, have the best of both worlds. It's not an option for your family to move and join you?
Our families are quite large. Abigail's family, my family, and they've got their kids are grown up. They're all there. We're the youngest. Well, Abigail's the youngest. I'm the eldest. But most of our families are well settled in the Western Cape. My parents are still in the Northern Cape in Kimberley. So it is a bit of a difficult task to get everybody where we are. I think what we also seen is that a flight from here is 10 hours. Yeah. I think it's not that difficult to get back to South Africa. But a one person to move back and forth, that's easier. But with a whole family, I mean, we're 5, that's expensive and it's tough. Kids are not happy on a plane. So, we're looking at that option and then homeschooling our kids there again. But just to have that family support surrounding us again.
I guess if you can do that, I think, life is so damn short. So if you miss out on opportunities to be with family, in terms of the kids and going back to South Africa for them, how are you feeling like justifying that, given your decision to firstly move to Holland and then taking them back to South Africa?
Yeah, look, I think we had plans and we had opinions of what it is for to live a European lifestyle. I don't want to generalize. Let's say a Netherlands, Holland lifestyle. It was difficult getting in schools here. The health system was not that great. It's really difficult going to doctors, getting medicine. In South Africa, you walk into a Clicks or a Dis-Chem, you get anything. Here, there's no such a thing as a pharmacy. Everything needs to be done through a doctor. The appointments like that is rare. If you got anything wrong with you, they give you a paracetamol. and that's it. The schools itself are, I think for grown Dutch person speaking Dutch, I think it's good. But for an expat, there's not an opportunity there unless you want to go to an international school, which is very expensive. You're speaking about 2,000 euro a month. If you're also looking for accommodation, it's quite expensive here for accommodation. In rand terms, it's about 40 to 50,000 rand a month for rental of a place. To buy a property here, it's in excess of 400,000 euro. So things are very expensive here. And even though the interest rate lending money, you're looking out between 2.5 and possibly 3.8%, it's cheaper to buy a place here, but it's still hellish expensive. So I think looking at all that options, which the relocation companies don't tell you about, and I think they purposefully don't tell you about these things because they will never get in somebody here. They bring you here, you leave something wholesome, which you haven't realized how wholesome it was, to come here and then find it's not that great. So then you think, okay, I'm going to fight through this, and something might come up that I haven't seen before. But you go through these dips and the rises and the dips and the rises, and it tires you out. So eventually, like us, we had to go back, take a bit of a breather, come back. We feel again strengthened. And then at least Abigail knows it's another 4 months, and then she'll go home permanently. And I know that they again secure there. And I'll work my way through here and navigate through what I need to navigate through. But I believe that the doors will open up for me again.
No, look, this is again, I keep talking about people that I speak to, but it's just a fascinating thing to hear the real stories, because you're not going to put that on Facebook. As I said before, this is the reality and this is what you're facing. And, I always say you've got so many days left in your life. So you've got to make the best what's the best for you. And somebody else may have completely different views on what you're doing. And, you sometimes get people that say, yeah, I see, they just back. I thought they wouldn't. Well, last, but that's their story. Your life is your life. So I think you guys must do what's right for you. And I think the thing that I'm sensing is that you're both on the same page with regard to the next steps.
Yes, definitely. I think South Africa has got something beautiful there. I lived in Germany for 2 years. I had the same feeling when I left Germany. Abigail would like to have experienced the European experience. And I think coming here for a holiday and staying here is two different things. And I believe that staying in different countries in Europe would also have a different experience. but we know where home is. And this is just let's call it an opportunity to better your life, never take that away from it. You are enriching yourself. We're enriching ourselves culturally. We're enriching our children and seeing that they have more opportunities out there that they've never seen. We're traveling. We are looking at different places. And that is richness that we couldn't afford if we just stayed in South Africa. So there's lots of positives. So I don't want to stay only at this family thing. I don't want to stay only at our challenges. But we have to balance it out. And like you said, we only have so much days in our lifetime, so much seconds. Make the best of it. Never be disappointed by your choices, but rather use it to get ahead and see always the silver lining. Don't just look at the negative things.
No, I think I really appreciate what you're going through, and I really appreciate you sharing this. Okay, before we finish with a couple of questions, surely there must have been something really funny that happened to you in the process of arriving in Holland.
I don't know what is funny. Well, I must say, Holland is a funny place. The guys have names here that I just cannot fathom how we get over themselves. I think purposefully, the Lord created the Holland people or the Dutch for comedy. That's it.
Okay, that's a good way of looking at it.
So my boss's name, I hope it's not going to sound bad, but his name is Taco.
Taco.
And his surname is Van der Doos. So it is absolutely hilarious for us South Africans to sit in his company. And you get this all over the show. I mean, my son had a book, and his book came home, and he was reading about this words, and I mean, it's POES and POES. And I'm thinking, man, this is not working out for us. You dare not say that when you go to South Africa. You do not understand why we're laughing at this thing.
That is hilarious. No, I can imagine.
Yeah. So I must say, there's good fun. And we, when South Africans get together, we're the same. We laugh, and it doesn't matter if you are Indian or black or white or colored or whatever it is. We find this mutual funny points.
The sense of humor, I always say that's the one thing that draws South Africans together is our sense of humor. We laugh at stuff that people don't know how, they don't find it funny, but I think it's maybe the way we live in South Africa and the things that go on there. We have to sometimes just laugh, So.
No, but I think is much to learn. I think if you're young, go for it. That's my thing. Go for it. If you're older, be cautious, be sure. But if you do decide to go for it, don't keep on looking back. You become depressed. You're depressive. So look forward. Try to see where the doors are. Open those doors. Don't be afraid. You never know. You just never know.
Okay, that was going to be my last question. I was going to say, what do you recommend? But I think you've already answered that. And that look forward and don't look over your shoulder and see the positives, because there can be a lot of negatives. So I think that's a very good outlook on it.
Something else also, get involved. There's lots we have to offer. South Africans are warm people, loving people. We know neighbors here and they don't even know it themselves. It is one of those things that we just have these characters or traits. Use it. Let the people know we are lovely people and embrace it. They will embrace you.
I agree with you. I think that's often also, what you hear is that you can't sit and wait for people to come to you. You have to put yourselves out because you're the stranger in a foreign land. So I think we do have a lot to offer. So Brad and Abigail, I can only say thank you for sharing your journey and your life in Holland, the good and the bad. I really think it's it's a brave move that you guys have made for your kids. And, I can only wish you the best for the future and whichever direction it takes. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Jan. I do appreciate it. Thanks for the chat.
Thank you. And if you enjoyed my discussion with Brad and Abigail and would like to know more about experiences of South Africans who have left the country, why not subscribe on your favorite platform? If you would like to share your story, contact us on relocatedSouthAfrican@gmail.com. Until next time.